This is the story of Abel and Mabel, leaf-long friends. It was a dark and cold winter. The wind blew through the trees. In the center of the park stood a mighty oak and a sugar maple. They had stood there longer than anyone could remember. One was tall and majestic. The other spread its branches far and wide. The two were so close their branches were almost touching. Year in, year out, they stood there side by side. Now the white glistening snow lay deep all around them as they slept through the winter. Eventually, the days got longer and the nights warmer. The snow began to melt and signs of life began to stir. The snow slipped away to reveal the grass beneath, and the warmth of the sun made the trees begin to stir. On the tip of a twig on a branch of the maple tree, a bud popped out. It looked around to see who else was about. Close by on the mighty oak tree, another bud was just awakening. The days went by and the sun was warm. The gentle rain helped them grow into bigger and bigger leaves. Then, one day, the maple leaf blossomed and said, "Is anyone there?" On a nearby oak, a tiny leaf heard the maple leaf and replied, "I'm here. My name is Abel. Who are you?" The maple leaf called back, "I'm Mabel, the maple leaf." The two talked and soon became fast friends, but as they got bigger, they noticed they were not the same. "Hey, Mabel," Abel said, "how come your leaves are pointed? Mine are rounded." "We're not the same," Mabel said. "I guess we're not. We look very different." This made them feel uncertain about each other. Now, all they saw was how different they were. How could a pointed leaf and a rounded leaf be friends? A few days passed, and Mabel and Abel didn't speak to each other, but they really missed one another's company. Then Abel noticed both of them were green. Mabel noticed both of them grew on trees, so one said to the other, "Hey, what are you doing?" The other answered, "Just hanging around. How about you?" They laughed. "You know, we really are more the same than different. It doesn't really matter if one of us is pointed and the other is round." They realized that they both wanted the same things, to have a friend and to have fun, and enjoy the warm summer weather. As the summer passed, the two leaves danced and swayed in the wind over the heads of the children who laughed and played beneath them. They enjoyed the long summer days and warm summer nights. Occasionally, a light rain would nourish them, and they grew even bigger and stronger. Then one day they began to notice their surroundings. Mabel noticed these round things falling from the oak tree onto the ground. The squirrels and other animals were eating them. "What's that?" Mabel asked. "Oh, those are acorns," Abel replied. "They feed animals and provide a seed for a new tree to grow." "Well," Mabel snapped, "my tree can provide syrup for people to put on their food, like pancakes." "My tree can be used to make many useful things like furniture, flooring, and toys for children." "Well, so can mine," snapped Mabel. The two bickered about which tree was better. Then they didn't talk for what seemed like an eternity. One night it started to turn cold. The wind picked up, lightning flashed in the sky, and the rain came down in buckets. "I'm scared," said Abel. "Me too," said Mabel. "What are we going to do?" "We just have to hang on." Together they hung on as tight as they could as the wind howled and the rain lashed down. "I'm scared," said Mabel. "Me too," said Abel. "We can help each other make it through the storm." It was a long, long night. In the morning the wind stopped. The rain quit coming down, and the sun came out. Some of the other leaves and even whole branches had fallen to the ground, but Abel and Mabel had made it through the storm. They realized that whatever storms came up, they had each other, and they would make it because eventually the storm would pass. "Let's not fight anymore," said Abel. "Let's be friends," said Mabel. "Let's be leaf-long friends." The days became shorter and shorter. The nights became colder and colder. Abel and Mabel noticed they were changing again. They were losing their bright green colors. Soon Mabel turned a bright yellow, and Abel turned a brilliant red. Abel said, "Look at us, don't we look bright?" People would go by and take pictures of them. They felt very special indeed. As the days got shorter and colder, other leaves began to turn brown and fall to the ground. "What's happening to us?" cried Abel. "I don't know," said Mabel. "Well, whatever happens, we're in this together." Then one day it happened. It was a cold, rainy morning when Abel fell to the ground. "Oh no," cried Mabel, "I've lost my friend." Mabel was sad. A few days later, Mabel, too, fell to the ground. It wasn't long before all the leaves fell and the trees were bare. A few days later, some men came and raked up all the leaves and put them in piles. Children from the nearby school came and jumped in the piles of leaves. They laughed and played and threw leaves up into the air. A few days later, the men came and put the leaves into big bags. They loaded them onto trucks and took them to a special place where they were put in big piles. Soon, the dark and cold returned. The wind blew through the mighty oak and the sugar maple that had stood there longer than anyone could remember. For a long, long time, the white, glistening snow lay deep all around them as they slept through the winter. The snow also covered the piles of leaves in a white blanket, and the world slept. Then, as it had before, the days became longer and the nights became warmer. After the snow slipped away, the pile of leaves had become a pile of dirt. The men came and took the dirt and spread it around the mighty oak and the sugar maple, and in the gardens and on plants to help them grow. Soon, the two trees that had stood there longer than anyone could remember began to show signs of life again. They began to grow buds that would turn into leaves. Meanwhile, at the school across the road, in a classroom, on the wall, in front of the room was a framed picture. And do you know what was in that picture? There were two leaves. One was a bright red oak, and the other a brilliant yellow maple. And under them was written, "Abel and Mabel, lifelong friends."